So our next speaker is Sandeep Chandel from Ericsson, USA. So he's going to speak on 5G ecosystem. So I'll give a brief intro to Sandeep. Sandeep leads Ericsson's ecosystem efforts to build North American enterprise verticals based IoT models and everything connected 5G business with specific considerations for enterprise security and control. He was also involved in creating, developing, and maintaining alliances with global wireless ecosystem partners. Partnerships have included chipsets, devices, gadgets, network security, and application vendors for 4G, 5G, and IoT wireless technologies. Sandeep, it's great to have you speak at the event. Thanks for agreeing to talk. So I invite you to go ahead with your talk.
No problem, sir. Rajesh, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Sandeep, yes.
Perfect. No, it's a pleasure, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. It always is a pleasure to talk to people, like-minded people. Let me try to share my slides. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, Sandeep, we can. Yes.
Perfect. So I don't know what the format is, Rajesh, but if there are questions that you are getting on the chat and you want to stop me in the middle, please feel free. If we can make it interactive, that'll be great.
Sandeep, I think you can go ahead with your talk, finish it, and then I'll pose a few questions from the Q&A.
That sounds like a plan. Wonderful. What I will go through is I'll perhaps spend around 15-20 minutes talking about the 5G and 5G ecosystem and how it's developing, and then maybe take 5 to 7 minutes for Q&A and providing some answers. All right. So quickly, I'm sure it's been talked about in the past on the session already. What is 5G? The evolution of Gs, so to say, going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. As you all probably know, the first G was basically voice that got introduced in a wireless mode. Second generation made the voice efficient, reached the voice over wireless connectivity to billions. And then the shift happened to mobile data with 3G, and 4G essentially made mobile broadband experience happen, and mobile broadband experience started emerging. 5G truly is, in that sense, the big step towards making mobile broadband voice data and all kinds of wireless connectivity available to billions. That's what 5G is intended to do. And to a large extent, it is starting to show promise in meeting that goal already, even that it's been about a couple of years now in commercial deployment. It has been primarily an ecosystem play, and you will see it in some slides that are further coming up, which is making a lot of this evolution happen, to realize that. So what was that driving force, so to say, to make that evolution, to make that switch happen? The mobile data, mobile broadband that started with 4G started driving a whole lot of new use cases and applications and segments for consumers that started driving traffic through things like video, things like just needing a bigger pipe for more people and more things getting connected. And finally, as it usually happens, the businesses, the enterprises, the corporations started to see the robustness getting available in mobile broadband. And I think that essentially was the big trigger for, so to say, a large scale need, or need for a large scale wireless mobile connectivity um, uh, pipe, so to say, or scale. That's essentially what is driving the need for 5G. What is driving the need for 5G in the end is these different use cases, these different use case scenarios, and new users and consumers and machines and things, IoT. Shamik talked about that. So that's what is driving the need for 5G. So what the industry did in response to that was come up with the standards, 3GPP being the leading organization, Ericsson being an active participant in the ecosystem of wireless broadband for a long time. But in general, the industry came up with a system for what we are now starting to call a network society. Essentially, anywhere, anytime, any scale of connectivity that is required is what 5G is promising, and to a large extent starting to show, as I said, promise of meeting. What as you probably can see, and as I've alluded to a couple of times in the past, what is driving it is the varied number of different uses beyond just smartphones, beyond just consumers, beyond just me and you and every one of us looking at our phones and using it for voice and data. It is a significantly large number of mobile devices, connected devices, a significantly large amount of data volumes, and the demand for low latency, high robustness, high availability, and a large amount of applications, simultaneously running applications. And then on top of that, the energy efficiency, the energy used efficiency, both from a perspective of radio energy as well as the power. So what it is kind of morphing into is some of the use cases that you see on this slide. These are again some examples, some lead examples of consumers, and then, as I said, businesses, enterprise users, enterprise usage models that are starting to emerge, which to a certain extent are being introduced with the mobile broadband that was brought forward by 4G, but truly will become commercially large-scale viable with this 5G network, 5G systems that are starting to get deployed now. Just to give some examples, automotive is what I think was earlier talked about. Manufacturing is one big sector which is starting to see the power, the value of mobile connectivity everywhere, the adaptability of being connected in a mobile, with a mobile environment. Energy and utility corporations companies with smart metering and dynamic metering, for example. The healthcare sector. Of course, what remains is, and again, I think Shamit touched upon that, some of those in his earlier talk as well. What remains is the connectivity is being provided by 5G. What is still remaining to be addressed is what other aspects of it go along with some of these evolving use cases. And that's where the ecosystem starts coming into the picture. It is not just the connectivity. 5G is 5G connectivity, 5G system, 5G network is one piece of it. Then comes the overall ecosystem of devices and chipsets and basebands and applications and edge capabilities, which is what is now becoming, so to say, the big challenge for the industry to make 5G happen in billions and billions of devices, connected devices, and use cases. This slide gives you a view of what that 5G ecosystem generally spans and what various corporations, what various companies, what various players are participating in that 5G ecosystem, starting from cloud, from edge providers to CDN providers, from infrastructure providers for radio, for example, or for core network, from mobile carriers like the Verizons and AT&Ts and SK Telecoms of the world, to the devices, the chipsets, and the device providers like the Qualcomms and Samsungs of the world. And then it comes to where the rubber hits the road, the end consumer accessing and making 5G manifest itself to the end consumer, the end user being either a human consumer or connected machines or connected devices. And I think what will make 5G truly reach its potential is this ecosystem of various food chain elements working together in harmony, and it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen in a way that I think the industry has realized it's not just a matter of providing just the connectivity or just an IoT device or just a smartphone, but it is going to be harmonious integration of all those elements towards the most effective user experience, and that user is rapidly evolving from end consumer, a smartphone-based mobile broadband end consumer, to more demanding enterprise user or a more demanding connected user, connected device in either a corporation or otherwise. I think so. My goal for this talk was to impress upon the audience here that while we hear a lot about 5G being, the next G in wireless, while it is introducing the next wireless connectivity evolution, I think the other thing that it is also introducing is a significant shift in business models of how wireless connectivity is used, and that's where the ecosystem is going to become so much more critical for the success of using wireless connectivity in every aspect of our lives, whether be it a consumer life or be it an enterprise life or be it connected device environment. Let me pause there, wait for questions, and then I can start answering some of those and provide more details.
So thanks, Sandeep, for the excellent talk. I'd like to ask the panelists if they have any question. Okay, then let me go ahead and take the questions from the Q&A. So the first question is, what are the challenges faced by engineers in manufacturing and deploying IoT devices used for 5G wireless networks?
There are logistical challenges, and then there are a little more systemic challenges when it comes to IoT for 5G. The logistical challenges are the standards for IoT devices for 5G are still evolving in a way that uh, let's try to define what those IoT devices mean. IoT devices essentially mean the devices that are not for human consumption and therefore have specific demands which are different than a smartphone, whether it be very low latency for certain applications or whether it be very efficient power consumption, very low power consumption, and therefore long battery life in certain other use cases. All of those are starting to be solved in 4G, not fully solved, but will be in the 5G domain, but the standards are still evolving. So that's one, so to say, more tactical, more logistic challenge, very solvable, and it will be. Then there is the systemic challenge of using cellular connectivity, whether it be in very high millimeter wave bands, for example, 20, 30, 40, 50 gigahertz frequency spectrum range, or even in the mid-band range of 2.5, 3.5 gigahertz, which is where 5G is for the most part being deployed. The systemic challenge being that the coverage aspects of 5G being deployed in those spectrums is going to be requiring unique and innovative engineering approaches to solve those coverage and power usage, power efficiency issues.
So, Sandeep, there's the second question. Considering data privacy aspects, what regulations or upcoming regulations should one keep track of when one designs systems?
So each market, each country will have different regulatory regimes that will have to be, of course, followed. But to a certain extent, the more general and more prevalent regulatory requirements are being addressed by 3GPP, the standards body, which is standardizing the 5G networks, 5G technology. But yes, there will be local, market-specific, country-specific regulatory law enforcement requirements that will have to be addressed. Some of those may not be specific to law enforcement, but may be related to environmental health, for example, power usage, the physical power usage by the radios and the cell sites could be one of those. The health effects of very high frequency, which have been in the question in the past. Some markets, some countries may still want to pursue that, although more and more evidences are pointing to that that those health concerns are not very well founded. But some countries are still trying to address that. So each market will have their local, so to say, concerns, but the general regulatory and law enforcement concerns, I think, will be well managed by the standardization bodies.
So, maybe we can take one more question. I think it's a more general question. How do you see OpenRAN development impact 5G deployment?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think along with 5G, there is this movement towards OpenRAN, which is good in a way that it tries to make the RAN part of for 5G networking, even 4G network for that matter, but starts with 5G to a certain extent, more available to mix and match various pieces of the network. I think OpenRAN is a great concept. will have its time. It's perhaps a bit too early for it to be going mainstream, simply because increasingly 5G is promising, and as I said, starting to realize that promise is providing, uh, besides the wireless connectivity, it's providing robustness, reliability for mobile connectivity, with mobile connectivity, and service providers, operators like Soft Verizons, are cautious, as they should be, that they do not want to compromise on the robustness and reliability in the wireless networks they have built. So it is the right direction, the ORAN move, but it perhaps will take a bit time for it to go mainstream, just for that robustness and reliability aspects.
Thank you, Sandeep, for your perspective, industry perspective on 5G and fog and edge computing. Thanks a lot for agreeing to talk.